Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. We have the mainstream media deciding it's in their best interest to want to lie to people and gaslight people and make them think that everything is fine, to make them think that the mainstream gaming industry is somehow going to be able to survive the obvious nonsense that they've been doing. Even though every single company, for the most part, is firing and letting people go, they still want to pretend as if all is well with the world. Well, we have an article here, apparently from That Park Place, that's reporting on Bloomberg, where a reporter from Bloomberg said that Sweet Baby Inc. boycott that crushed Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League sales is supposedly angry hallucinations created by grifters. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you guys already know how this goes. When they cannot get their way, when things do not work out in their best interest, suddenly they have to blame everything on grifters because apparently if you disagree with them, if you do not agree with their ideology, if you apparently can see what's obviously on the wall in terms of the sales and the poor performance of Suicide Squad, that makes you a grifter apparently. So congratulations, all you viewers out there and all the other content creators out there talking about the obvious that's going on. You're all grifters according to Bloomberg. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier, which again, Jason Schreier, been around for a while, whatever, who previously worked at Kotaku, claims that Sweet Baby Inc. boycott that helped crush the sales of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is angry hallucinations created by grifters. Now, somebody like Jason Schreier is probably going to try to make it seem as if we are all lying about what's happening with Suicide Squad, but the numbers literally speak for themselves. Even if you don't want to believe me, even if you don't want to believe another YouTuber, even if you don't want to believe any other person writing an article, at the end of the day, they themselves, Warner Brothers, came out and said that this was a nearly $200 million loss, and they are struggling extremely to comp for Q1 and the upcoming Q2 reports as well. They can't do it because they just lost so much money on Suicide Squad. Now, obviously, they're going to try to devalue it and pretend as if it's something along the lines, how do they always say it? It's something along the lines of didn't meet our expectations. Yeah, that's normally how they go about reporting on these things. But we all know what didn't meet expectations means. It means it failed, ladies and gentlemen, especially when something this massive, that's a live service game, something that's meant to get players playing for a long period of time, they can't even, I can't even imagine a AAA live service game struggling to get 300 players on Steam. I mean, when's the last time that you saw something like that massive of a failure? And keep in mind, it started at about 13,000 players. Obviously, that's not Helldivers numbers because, again, you got a disparity in price and you got a disparity in IP, but still, 13,000 players is nothing to scoff at, and you lost almost all of them. That tells me everything I need to know about this game. If you want to blame it on grifters, you are completely delusional. But anyway, let's continue. Schreier recently published an article for Bloomberg claiming to reveal inside details about the failure of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. In his article, he claims that the game's $200 million failure is due to a constantly shifting vision, a culture of rigid perfectionism, and a genre pivot that was ill-suited for the studio. He also noted that the game was plagued by countless delays. Well, you know what I gotta say? Every single one of these, constantly shifting vision, a culture of rigid perfectionism, and a genre pivot that was ill-suited for the studio, every single one of these comes down to corporate greed, ladies and gentlemen. That is essentially what it is. The mainstream industry is very greedy when it comes to live service games. They genuinely believe that a live service game is going to give them all the profit and save them from whatever failures they are trying to subsidize. But that is just not the case. There is only so many live service games to go around. There's just not enough players to play all these games for long periods of time. And Suicide Squad, unfortunately, decided to come out the gate very broken. And by coming out the gate broken and unplayable and basically devoid of any real soul, the people just decided it's not really worth their time. It's not worth it to invest their money. It's not worth it to invest their time, and they just decided to opt out and move on. You can tell by the player base. The player base doesn't lie. As much as you want to say we're grifters, at the end of the day, the numbers do not lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie, an old saying, but that's just the truth about it. And Suicide Squad is a massive failure, grifter or not. He says, however, he makes no mention of the Sweet Baby Inc. Detective Steam curator list created by Brazilian gamer Cabrutus Rambo that has nearly 400,000 followers. The list is essentially a boycott list of all games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on that are available to purchase on Steam. The first game added to the list was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Since its creation, the list has evolved to include games that are infected with DEI agenda but have not employed Sweet Baby Inc. Cabrutus has also added one game that he recommends to the list, The Great Rebellion, which he declares as 100% DEI free. Now, I'm not going to downplay the fact that game being the first one to show up on an extremely hot list during all the controversy didn't do anything. You know what I mean? They'll try to lie to you and pretend that game going on the Steam curator list did nothing, but that is such a lie, it's ridiculous. That was the first game that was listed on that list, and that list went super viral, super popular very quickly, and that was because of Sweet Baby Inc. Sweet Baby Inc. is the reason why the curator list ended up going big in the first place. If it wasn't for Chris Kindred attacking everybody and their mother, then this wouldn't have happened. This would have, I would say, not to say that this wouldn't have happened, but I would say this would have happened a lot slower, but the fire was lit when Chris Kindred decided to do what they always do because they can't help themselves, and they decided to attack gamers just for the hell of it, right? They felt like they were being attacked. They felt like, oh, everybody is after me, so I need to go back after them, kind of a thing. But they don't realize the Streisand effect is an absolutely real thing, and they just completely ate it right in front of him, right in front of everybody. It says, in Sweet Baby's involvement in the game was a major problem for many gamers, with YouTuber Endymion, who has nearly 250,000 subs, noting that writer Amy Leigh Shaw and Sweet Baby Inc. ruined the game. He shared in February, a week after the game released. Of course, Amy tries to take the moral high ground here, but the truth is that the damage is done. And what her and the team over at Sweet Baby has done to Suicide Squad, not to mention other games like Spider-Man 2 and more. Everything they touch lessens and cheapens the stories and characters within them. It's gotten so bad that the name Sweet Baby is all but considered a taboo term. It's just as bad as when customers label a product as woke now. Now, I will say that they essentially go almost hand in hand. When you have something labeled as a Sweet Baby Inc. game, you're essentially labeling it as a DEI-infested game, and it had a consultancy group that is DEI-focused work on it. So yeah, it puts people in a bad taste in their mouth. They don't really want to deal with that, and rightfully so. I mean, none of these studios, none of these consultancy firms have proven themselves by a massive margin that they make games better, right? They have a couple of wins here and there, few and far between, right? Especially the wins that they have are lesser versions of their original selves, right? They'll try to say, oh, well, we worked on God of War Ragnarok and it sold less than the first one. Oh, we worked on Spider-Man 2 and it sold half of the first one. So even though they were still successful by a numbers margin, they still were nowhere near as successful as the one that you didn't work on. And that tells everybody what they need to know about your storytelling ability, your character creation, and your overall effect on the game that you're working on. So nobody has faith in these consultancy firms. They don't do what they say they do. And at the end of the day, I and many other people feel that all they do is just make the games much worse. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.